live. So excited to be here with you. It's happening. I'm really stoked to tell you about my TEDx experience. It was my first TEDx experience. If you're considering doing a TEDx talk, or if you already have a TEDx talk out there, I want to tell you a little bit about what I've learned about doing TEDx, why you definitely want to consider doing it in the next couple years. I want to talk a little bit about how to use TEDx to grow your business. And I want to really invite you to journey into the opportunity to make your message bigger with TEDx. Make your message bigger just by getting out there, period. Like, it doesn't matter if you take all of the tips I'm going to teach you today and apply them to TEDx, or if you take the tips I'm going to teach you and apply them to whatever speaking gig or video you make. One of the things that's happening right now, as you know, in the industry, is it's getting loud and crowded. And it's that much more important for you to stand out and be your authentic self. This is about you being you. Sisters, women, goddesses, powerhouses, like, our clients are waiting for us, and we have to be brave enough to rise up above the noise, right? Because any story that we have that other people are already doing it better, or right, our message isn't good enough, like, it's standing in the way of actually us getting to make a difference for the people that are asking and praying for you right now. So if you believe that, if you're here, just give me an let me know you're here on the comments thread. If you want to ask a question, if you want laser coaching today, let me know on the comments thread. The link is right here. You can actually hop over to Zoom and join me, and I'll be able to pull you on the screen with me and do some laser coaching with you about your TEDx talk or questions that you have about the training. But, you know, having had this experience of TEDx, I just really wanted to have the chance to go live with my community, with my women, with you, and really kind of bring you behind the scenes of what I experienced and what you may anticipate experiencing if you want to do a TEDx talk, if you haven't yet. If you've done a TEDx talk, please let me know below. I'd love to hear what your experience was. And just really, this opportunity to get you this training is an opportunity to put a stake in the ground for your message, you know, for you being willing to go bigger, because it doesn't matter if you're on a tiny stage in a small college campus or on a huge fancy TEDx stage, you know, at a major Ivy League college. It doesn't matter what TEDx stage you end up on. TEDx is a search engine. Write that down. That's actually the first key. TEDx is a search engine, and it's one of the largest search engines for any topic in the self-growth industry. In fact, some people believe TEDx is the largest search engine for any topic in the self-improvement field. And did you know, by the way, that self-improvement and self-growth is the fastest growing industry, second fastest only to technology? I mean, that's badass. Like, that's good news for all of us, right? All of us that are wanting to make a living, helping people do better at relationships, do better at communication, do better at business, do better at their careers. Like, we're in a really sweet spot. The field is blowing up, and we get to take advantage of that. And getting a video on TEDx is such a great thing, because people are on TEDx searching every day. Thousands of people are on TEDx searching every day. So if you haven't met me, my name's Sage Levine. I am a retired school teacher from Iowa. I used to make $28,000 a year, and I moved to California and started my business about 10 years ago. And we became, when I officially hung my shingle, we became a $1 million company in 18 months of that moment of hanging my shingle. And I've grown a multi-million-dollar company reaching over 100,000 women entrepreneurs from all over the world. And I recently got asked to go back to a tiny stage in Iowa and tell my story of how I support women, why I chose to empower women to grow and scale their businesses, and a little bit about the journey from Iowa school teacher to CEO of a quickly growing women's company. And it was such an honor, absolutely, to get invited. And for those of you that don't know this, TEDx is full of all of these independently run mini TEDx stages. So when you apply for a TEDx stage, like, you never know what you're going to get. Like, you just really don't know. So there's good news and bad news, right? When it comes to that, the good news is you get to trust the process and you get to stop trying to control everything around you. If you're anything like me, maybe you like to control things around you. And the bad news is that you could walk onto any stage or non-stage. You're not quite sure if the videographers are going to have, you know, what level of experience they're going to have. You're not quite sure where you're going to be. So my particular TEDx talk got moved into the cafeteria at a tiny college in Iowa at the last moment. So I'll show you a couple minutes of the talk in a few minutes, like as part of the training I'm going to do today. But the good news about that was that I had an opportunity to really see, like, what am I made of? Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, so now I'm doing a TEDx talk, which is supposed to be kind of like bright and shiny, and I'm doing it in a cafeteria. No real stage. There's like pictures of Iowa farmhouses behind me on the wall. And it was just one of those moments where I could have been like, oh my God, this is from hell. And I chose to just be like, okay, this is part of the adventure. And I'm not saying that there wasn't like some disappointment in there, but the big reminder that I got from my friends and my clients and you guys and everybody else is that it doesn't freaking matter. Do the talk, get the talk on the TEDx search engine. And that's what I really want to say to you is, I don't care where you get a talk. I don't care what TEDx stage you're on, like, go get a TEDx talk, you know, and get on stage and do the talk. Because no matter where you do the talk, the point is about getting that video, that 18-minute video that is about something that you stand for. It's about getting that TEDx video on the TEDx search engine so that people can watch it and share it. My TEDx video has been up like maybe 2 weeks, something like that, maybe a little bit longer, but I didn't even know it was up for like the first week it was out, because it takes time. Like, you do the talk and then it takes like 30 days before it actually gets up on the search engine. It can take a lot longer than that. It can take 6 weeks. So I didn't know it was up, but I checked the talk a couple days ago. It's got over 20,000 views on it already, and I haven't really done hardly anything to promote it. So like, that alone is evidence, you know, and really builds a case for all of us just like losing the intensity around it and going out and doing our first TEDx talk if you haven't already. And that's another distinction I want you to make, is it's not just about doing like this one talk that's going to change the world. Like, go to a talk. You know, Brene Brown has several TEDx talks out there. This was just my first. I'm definitely going to be doing more. So key number one, in terms of really rocking your TEDx talk as a way to grow your business, is to get that frickin' talk up on the search engine. I mean, it's the way that many thought leaders have really established themselves and kind of broken out and risen above the noise. If you haven't watched Brene Brown's TEDx talks, they're amazing. She's masterful. Another talk to watch for sure is Simon Sinek. And, you know, his talk is a great example. It was done on like a really small stage. He had like, you know, a flip chart in the background. It was just, you know, it wasn't like this big fancy professional thing. Hundreds of thousands of views within a matter of months. And Simon Sinek went from being somebody that nobody knew to being a major thought leader in the area of branding and standing out online and getting people's attention in the marketplace. So definitely watch those two talks. They're examples of amazing talks that have helped people break out. And again, if you guys have questions about TEDx, or if you want laser coaching about how to put your TEDx talk together, just pop on over to the Zoom line so I can unmute you in a few minutes and give you some coaching. And welcome to Leah and to Yas and to Emily and to Lizzie and to Kelly and to Stephanie. Welcome all of you guys that are popping over there. It's really good to see you. So number one tip get your TEDx talk up, get it shared, get it on the search engine. That's the whole point. Number two, when you're putting together your TEDx talk as a way to grow your business, is you want to remember that TEDx is not a place to sell. It's not a place where you can solicit your services. TEDx is super sticky about that, and rightfully so. TEDx is a place for learning. It's a place for education. So you want to make sure that you find a topic or a cause that's aligned with your business, that's bigger than your business. It's a message that you stand for, that you want to bring to the world. And then you can absolutely let people know that you do this professionally in more modest, kind of soft kind of ways. All right. So I'll give you a couple examples. First of all, you can hitch your TEDx talk to a social cause, right? If you guys have watched my TEDx talk, I do a whole piece around women in third world countries who are learning to make their own money, and women globally and collectively are starting businesses 1.5 times faster than men. And how do we really succeed? Because as we're starting businesses 1.5 times faster than men, we're also failing faster than men. So I make a real case for, the last 1.5 decades of my life working with tens of thousands of women entrepreneurs. How do we set up women for lasting success? Because there's a difference between how women learn and how men learn. There's a difference between what motivates and drives women and what motivates and drives men, right? And the feminine and the masculine. And it's not even about either or better or worse. It's just my observations of, having the opportunity and the honor to get tens of thousands of women to the point where they're making 6 figures in their business. They're making multi 6 figures. They're making 7 figures, and they're making a huge difference because women are motivated by giving back. We're motivated by freedom, right? And when we start to align business strategies with women's values, we can start really seeing the kinds of results in our businesses that we long for, right? So the talk was titled The Secret Power of Women Entrepreneurs. And you can actually go check out the talk at the link right here with the video. And I'm going to do a little contest today where if you share the talk and let me know that you shared it in our Women Rocking Business Sisterhood page, I'm going to grab one of you. I'm going to check out how you shared it and what you said about it. I'm going to grab a winner and I'll pull you on for laser coaching at the end of the month on one of these Facebook Lives. So my team will send you a Facebook message and let you know that you're the winner. So all you have to do is just share the talk. And really, I'm just asking that you share the talk because it's something that you believe in, right? Like women are still getting paid 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And entrepreneurship is a huge solution to that. Like globally, we can raise the bar on what we're making on the dollar by just giving ourselves a raise by launching our own businesses, right? Making up our own rules. So if you believe in this cause, if you have women in your life who would benefit from understanding what the real power is of women entrepreneurs, it would just be my great honor to have you share the talk. So step 2, to link up a TEDx talk and the success of a TEDx talk with your business is to be sure that your TEDx talk isn't too salesy, but that you're able to stand for something bigger in that TEDx talk. You can link your talk to a social cause, right? I use my talk to point out how women in the rainforest are starting businesses to keep oil companies out of their jungle home. I tell stories about women in Africa and Uganda and Liberia that I've worked with, helping them be financially empowered so they're not using their bodies as prostitution to make money, right? Like how can you link your business to a greater social cause if you're in the health field? I mean, come on, right? Like so many people are sick, right? Bringing those stats, bringing that research into your talk is going to grab people's attention. You get to become a walking messenger for your talk, but you're educating, right? It's for the purpose of educating. So number 3 is to be sure to use your stories, right? To shine the light on the other things that you do have, right? First of all, content tells, but stories are what sell. One of the reasons why I definitely recommend watching my whole talk is I know a lot of times in our talk, the challenge of TEDx is we have 18 minutes, 18 minutes to get across all of the points that we want to make in one talk, right? So it becomes this carefully crafted masterpiece that we can use other places. But one of the ways to be classy and honor TEDx's rules of no soliciting, right? But also find a way to let people know, hey, guess what? There's more where this came from, right? Like I have programs and services that are available, is to do it through stories. So when you watch my TEDx talk, you'll see how I linked some stories together. I linked a story about the women in Ecuador, right up next to a story about how I used to get locked in lockers and beat up as a teenage girl in Iowa. Like I found a way to weave those stories together so that I could get every point across in the 18 minutes that I wanted to make. And I also told a story about my client, Susan Pierce Thompson, who's just an incredible colleague and friend, and has become a mentor to me in the way she does business. And the first time I met Susan, she had walked into my Women Rocking Business live event. Like that's how she found me. She walked into that event. She started putting all her launch plans together, started building out her team. She walked away from that event with a ton of wisdom about how to really start to scale her business. She hired me, we worked together, right? Now she's reaching 500,000 people, helping them live in right-sized bodies. And by telling that story, I was able to mention that she walked into, ding, 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 a Women Rocking Business live event, which is where it all happens. And by the way, we just put, because of you all asking for another event, we just put another event on the calendar for Southern California for the first time in September. So we opened up full scholarship seats for a limited time, just for the next couple of weeks. This is like pre-sale. So if you want to grab one of those tickets, they're first come, first serve. They are limited. The venue is small. It's not going to be a huge event. It's going to be a small, intimate event in Southern California. The link is right here in this video comment. So if you want to join us in Southern California to rock your business and get all of our launch plans and our whole system for growing your business in just 3 days, we're going to really get you launched and have you walk away with a launch plan and being clear who your clients are. We are getting you that link here in the video. So grab your ticket. You can grab it today. Just put down your seat deposit. We'll give you that money back at the door. But in telling that story about Susan, see, I'm doing the thing that I'm telling you to do, right? I'm putting a bold plug in for my own stuff, right? As I'm teaching you, that's what I'm training you to do. This is called transparent marketing, right? I'm teaching you as I'm doing it. This is my favorite way to learn, by the way. I love it when my mentors just tell me what they're doing as they're doing it. So I hope this works for you. In telling that story about Susan, I was able to mention, guess what? I met Susan at one of our Women Rocking Business live events. And guess what? We've had people emailing our office, hey, do you have any events coming up, right? They found us through the TED Talk. I also was able to mention my book. If you don't know my book, right? I describe my whole process to filling events, how I put talks together. It's all in the book. So if you haven't grabbed the book, go grab the book. But I was able to mention, right, my best-selling Hay House book during the TEDx talk, because it's like, if you want to know more about this, I wrote a whole book about it. Right? You can just insert one line in your TEDx talk. If you want to know more about this, I wrote a whole book about it. Or if you want to know about this topic, it's in chapter 6, right? And that, my friends, is going to allow you to use your TEDx talk to sell more books, or direct people back to your Facebook group, or direct people back to your free gift or your website or whatever it is. Right? There's all kinds of classy ways of doing that. And client stories are one of the best ways, right, to mention your own services. And that brings me to secret number 4 about how to use your TEDx talk to grow your business. And that is to be sure that you mention next steps. Now that you've seen this talk, here's what might be on your mind. Here's what you might be craving, right? Here's what you might want next, right? And to invite people at the end of your talk to share the talk, right? I can't even remember exactly what my languaging was to invite people, but at the end of my talk, I got really choked up and emotional you'll see when you watch it, I got really, really, really raw at the end of my talk. And I was almost crying. And I just said, this is about women not doing it alone. If you know a woman who has a business or has a business idea, tell her you believe in her, you're behind her. And I got really moved. And I said, please share this with women who have big dreams, big business dreams, and they want to change the world. And that's my request for you too, to share the talk with your own friends and women with business dreams. Share it on your Facebook page. Share it for the purpose of empowering women. I feel super proud of the talk. It's filmed on a tiny little stage, but the talk itself turned out like really solid. So I'm just honored to have you with me on the journey. And that brings me to the fifth key of how to really use your TEDx talk to grow your business. And that is that you've got to write this down. You've got to have all your top marketing really pass the face test, simple, 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 right? The best titles are the simplest titles. The title of my talk was The Secret Power of Women Entrepreneurs. Super simple. And it tells you exactly who should listen to the talk, right? It's for women entrepreneurs. And the thing you've got to remember is that TEDx is a search engine. So people are searching for certain topics, just like anywhere else, just like YouTube, just like iTunes. Whether you launch a podcast or a YouTube channel or a TEDx talk, you want to really think long and hard about what are the topics, what are the keywords that you're plugging in for your talk. And here's a super hot tip, because the curators of your talk, the hosts of your particular TEDx stage, are likely not going to tell you this, but you can request that certain keywords get plugged in to your talk. I didn't know. But when you submit, so for every TEDx talk, again, it's got to be 18 minutes or less. You pretty much have to memorize the talk. You don't have to memorize it word for word, but in order to really nail the talk, you've got to have a really good sense of where you're going and what points you're making in what amount of time, right? And most people memorize their TEDx talk word for word, which is a ton of work. I mean, believe me, I spent weeks trying to memorize my talk. And I'll give you a couple tips for that at the end of this training. But the key here is that when you submit that script that you've created for your talk, you can list right at the top, suggested keywords for my talk include, and then get on the TED search engine and do some searching around with words that you think your clients would be searching for, right? And see what pops up. And you can see what keywords generate what kind of results. And you can start to really see, like for me, it was like, people might be searching business. They might be searching women's empowerment. They might be searching gender pay gap, right? I want to pop up when people search any of those things. So when you turn in your script, be sure that at the very top of that script, highlighted, here are suggested keywords for my talk, right? Really hot tip right there, super hot tip. So I just want to review, and then I'm going to show you a minute or so of my talk and invite you to share it and play in the little game that we're going to play, because I'm going to give out prizes, a first place prize for one of you who shares it the most creatively. And then I want to take a couple questions or laser coaching hot seats about your ideas for a TEDx talk. So number one, TEDx is a search engine, right? It doesn't matter what stage you're on. You want to get on a stage so that people are searching for you. Number two, make your talk about something bigger than your business, right? Like mine was about women entrepreneurs, but it was also about the gender pay gap. It was also about underprivileged women and how we can support them with their businesses, right? How can you hitch your talk to a social cause? Number three, it's all about your stories and your client stories. Your client stories are the hottest way to plant seeds about your own programs and to let people know next steps, right? And number four is to always, let people know, now that you've seen this talk, here's where you might want to go next. You might want to check out, right, this kind of a resource. Please share the talk. And number 5, always submit your keywords when you submit your talk. And you guys, be sure when you land a TEDx talk, be sure to visit the venue the day before so that you can get a sense of what the stage is like, what you want to wear. I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but like during a TEDx talk, they ask you to stay in that red dot. You're not supposed to step outside of the dot. I mean, this was so hard for me. Like, I walk all over the stage, right? Like, I am not a stationary speaker. So you want to make sure that you're there the day before to really get a sense, like to practice. What's it going to feel like to stand on that red dot? And oh, by the way, you're probably not going to want to wear like really big heels because guess what? You're standing on a red carpet. And sometimes the carpets are like shag carpet. Some of my friends are like, sometimes they're like shag, you know? So you don't want to wear heels. You want to wear something you're going to blend with the colors of TED, because a big part of it is like you want pictures of yourself in front of that damn freaking red TED sign. Like it's good credibility for you. So you probably don't want to wear like a pink dress because you're going to clash, right? So think about what you're going to wear. Always bring a couple outfits, a couple pairs of shoes so you can test out how it feels to be on that crazy carpet. And yeah, have fun with it. It's super fun. So I want to see if I could actually share like a minute of my talk with you, and then I'm going to take some questions and do some laser coaching. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works. Forgive me if it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'll just be right back with you. You never quite know with Zoom. Dun, 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 dun. We're going to call upon the screen sharing gods and goddesses for a smooth transition. Here we go. Women are starting businesses 1.5 times faster than men over the last 15 years. Yet we're still making just 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. And 95% of us will never make more than $100,000 in a year. And of all the technology businesses started, only 5% are started by women. And Forbes magazine reports that women's businesses are failing faster than men's as well. So why is this? I believe it's because many women are trying to do business in a way that's not native to them. Many women are trying to do business like men. And when you look out across the realm of business training out there, you see that much of it comes from a more masculine perspective, focused on closing sales versus building relationships, obsessed with profits before people, driven by efficiency before compassion, and feeding this mindset that's primarily based in a bigger, better, faster, stronger mentality. Alternatively, I found that women thrive when we do business from a place of empowerment rather than power over, generosity rather than scarcity or urgency, and collaboration rather than competition. Over the last decade, I've had the honor of supporting thousands of women to start. All right, so as you can see, I was in a cafeteria. Right? Like I literally, like 10 days before that, I had flown up to Seattle to speak at Microsoft headquarters, and I had spoken in this huge amphitheater for over 1,000 women. And then I was on this little cafeteria stage. And if I hadn't been to visit the venue the day before, like I would have been completely dismayed that they had moved it into a cafeteria. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter. The whole point is getting the talk out there to inspire you and women like you. And for every single one of you who's speaking and out there doing talks, I don't care if 2 people show up. I don't care if 10 people show up. I don't care if 100 people show up. This is about getting your message out there. So thanks for being with me. And thank you for sharing this, because I really believe that when we work together, we can seriously, like in my lifetime, I want to see that gender pay gap close. Like, what if we could close that, like $1 for $1, 100, 100, by being so successful as women business owners that we're out there being authentic, being real, not having to like pretend that it's a rainbow and butterfly magic pill that makes us successful. Like, we are real women doing real work, changing real lives, making a difference together. So that's why I'm inviting you to share the talk. The link to share the talk is right here in the comment section. And then go ahead and go over to the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook page. Okay, it's Women Rocking Business Sisterhood. It's a Facebook group. Over 20,000 of you are in there. And just let me know that you shared it. And you can even put a post, put a link to the share if it's easy. But let me know that you shared it. I'll be able to go take a look at it on your wall. I'm going to choose whichever one of you shares it the most creatively, and I'm going to pull you on for laser coaching on one of these Facebook Lives at the end of the month. So please, thank you for sharing it. It's a huge service to me. It's a huge service to women in the world who want to launch and scale businesses like a woman. And for those of you that are interested in really launching your business this year and putting a launch plan in place, and learning how to market authentically and promote yourself in a way that's totally in alignment with women's values, come and join us at the September live event. We have a limited amount of full scholarship seats, and we're going to be coming out in the next couple weeks and letting specifically our Facebook fans know that we've got full scholarship seats specifically reserved for you guys. And the details for that September live 3-day training, it's Women Rocking Business Live. It's going to be incredible. I'm even bringing in my TEDx coach to speak on stage, so you'll get to hear a lot more about TEDx talks. Those seats are going to sell out. We sell that event sells out every time we launch it, and our venue is like half the size as the normal venue that we use in the Bay Area. It's the first time we've done it in Southern California. You'll get your launch plans. You'll learn to master feminine enrollment and marketing, and you'll meet a tribe of sisters who are like-minded, who are totally behind you. So join us in Southern California, grab a seat. The link's right here in the video comments. And I'm really excited to get some of you some coaching. So for those of you who are on Zoom, just raise your hand by pressing the hand raise button at the bottom of the screen and let me know what is your idea for a TEDx talk, and what are you thinking about? How can I support you? What questions do you have about TEDx? For those of you on Zoom, I'm excited to support you and to pull you here on video. So if you're on Zoom, I am going to get you on in a moment. So just raise your hand by pressing that hand raise button at the bottom of the screen. And then we'll be on for another 5 or 10 minutes. And at the end of the video, I want to give you one of my hottest tips for memorizing my talk, because that is the question I always get. Like, how did you actually memorize an 18-minute talk? It's a pretty long amount of time to like be on a script, and you still want to be really authentic too, right? So I'm going to give you my hottest tip about that. All right, Deb is here. She's had her hand up for a few moments. Let's see if I can get you over here on video, Deb. I think it's Deb Shannon who I'm promoting right now over here to see if I could get you some laser coaching. Hi, Deb. How are you?
Hey, I am great, Sage. Thank you so much for calling on me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad to get to support however many women I can to rock their TEDx talks. How can I help you the most?
I want to do a TEDx talk that raises awareness of the fact that we are bringing a generation of college grads, new people into the workforce, into an environment that is socially stuck in the 1950s. Mm-hmm. There's a lack of conversational intelligence, compassion, and leadership. And we have one chance to impress upon them the beauty that they can create in our future.
It's so true. It's so true. This is the perfect topic for a TEDx talk. I love it. You've got to do this. What if it was titled like adapting the workplace to the millennials, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am trying, I'm typing as we go. And I literally just ran out of my bedroom because I didn't think you were going to call on me. A work from home woman.
I know, that's what we're all doing, right? I was looking for this jacket because I only have a t-shirt on. I'm like, oh, I want to look a little more professional. Where's my jacket?
Yeah, but you got earrings. Anyway.
I got earrings on.
So I'm thinking about, who do I market it to? Am I looking at HR professionals? Am I looking at entrepreneurs who are creating new environments themselves? But I think the greatest need is in huge corporate America that talks about purpose-driven.
Yes.
And they set us up in cubicles.
Yes. Yes. Hello. Completely. I 100% agree with you. Now, the question is, if you really want to use do you really want to use this TEDx talk to also grow your business?
Yeah.
Well, then you've got to be willing to coach the executives at the big corporations, the HR managers. Like, when you're willing and you want to coach them, you're like all ready to coach them.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then this is perfect. So you're going to, like, have you ever helped an HR manager yet, or an exec start to sculpt their workplace for the millennials?
No, not for that topic.
So that is definitely a homework assignment I want to give you. Like, even if it's a beta client, even if you just spend half a day, like, just offer them a free half VIP day to just brainstorm, how can we actually, how can we really soften this work environment? How can we create this work environment as more friendly to the very people that you're going to want to hire the most? Because some of these millennials are coming, like, they're freaking ready to go. They've got a computer chip from like 3 years old in their brain, right?
And they keep job hopping. I don't know if employers have noticed. They complain these kids have no loyalty. I'm like,
yeah, 100%. And when you get the smart ones, you want to keep them around, right? Like, my brother used to work for GoDaddy. I actually helped him get a job at GoDaddy, and he loved it because they went to concerts, they brought in Macklemore, they did away with the cubicles. At one point, it was all like glass. They had a slide from like level 5 down to level 1. You could take the slide and like, right? Like this is set up for like the kid, like my brother, who's like, no, I'm gonna rock the GoDaddy scene right now. So absolutely, go find a beta client, like find an HR manager who will spend a couple hours with you so you can do some brainstorming, get a testimonial, get a success story, and then go land yourself a TEDx talk. You can tell that story in the talk, and you're going to be basically putting it out to the world that, guess what? This is what you do.
Piece of cake, right?
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Inspired me again.
Can you make it to the event in Southern California in September?
I will not deny that I'm thinking. I left the last event. I went with a friend of mine to the one in Santa Cruz, and I left. I was so positive. I was like, oh no, I'll get this started on my own.
Oh, good. Well,
I don't have any speaking engagements yet, so I'm thinking September is looking pretty real.
Yeah, you may want to come back because we're bringing in a bunch of new content specifically around landing speaking gigs, landing TEDx talks. I'm bringing in my TEDx coach that got me the talk to speak on stage. So it's going to be a great event. I hope to see you there.
Cool. Thank you.
Come in September. So nice to meet you again, Deb, and so great to have you at the last event too. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Mwah. Bye, sweetheart.
Bye-bye.
All right, we have time for one more, and then I'm going to teach you my favorite tip for memorizing your talk. And don't forget to remind me that I'm going to start doing these Facebook Lives every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, so that I can just keep training you guys once a week, because I am hungry to help you as much as I can. So mark it in your calendars, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Join me on Facebook Live to get a little jolt of inspiration for your business and to have your biggest next business breakthrough. Let's call on Juliet. Juliet's had her hand up for a moment. I'm going to see if I can get Juliet here over on video to support you with your TEDx talk. Juliet, are you here? So excited to have you, sweetheart. There you are. Hey, cutie pie. I know you.
Hi, hi.
Good to see you again. How can I help you the most with your TEDx talk?
So I've just always wanted to do one, and I've literally just listening to you, I feel I've had a little download for an idea along with my niche. So it's looking at relationships and conscious relationships, but essentially, like, I want to protect marriages before they even start. So essentially, we get into marriages, but what amazes me that we have a contract for somebody to rent a house. We have contracts for business, but we walk into a marriage hoping it will all be fine, and sometimes there's a bit of preparation, but there's no way in black and white what we are willing to do and what happens with strategies when things go wrong. What is our strategy? Will we call a friend? What are our marriage strategies before we enter the marriage?
Please, you please do this talk. Like, okay. I mean, what is it? Something like 60 or 70% of first marriages fail, 80% of second marriages fail. I mean, we're living in a time where it's like we've got to revitalize the institution of marriage. I'm dating an incredible man right now, and we were just talking about this very thing. Like, we went to Costa Rica a couple weeks ago for 2 weeks. We took a 2-week vacation together, and we literally started to write out our manifesto. Like, we've only been dating a few months, but we're like, no, this is what we want our relationship to look like. This is the plan. Like, here's our agreements that we're making to each other, because it's like, what else is more important, right? Like, people go in blindly and they fall into lust, and then guess what? It's falling apart.
Totally. And I'm not married, but I've just seen the heartbreak. For me, that what I've stood and watched is this: you watch them go down the aisle, and then they, essentially my parents, I remember crying at about 5 or 6, thinking, why are you shouting at each other? What happened? I mean, now I know there's a lot of history, and they probably shouldn't have got married, but essentially, like, from that amazing day to that shouting day, what happened? And my detective mode wants to find out what were those little things that happened, and how can you protect the bubble between the two people? What are the strategies? Just the fact, like it's a prenuptial, but not about possessions, about the protecting the relationship. What are the strategies to protect the bubble between you? And it's amazing. We have a contract to rent a house, but we don't have contracts.
That's right. We have contracts for everything else in the world, and this is like the most important decision you'll ever make.
Yeah. So
you want to know? Let me tell you what the best-selling ebook ever was in history. Best-selling ebook. 3 words. You want to know?
Yeah.
Stop Divorce Now. Top selling ebook of all time. Whoever wrote that ebook got so rich. And that's what I want to point you toward with the message of this TEDx talk, right? It's like, save your marriage now, right? Save your marriage before it even starts.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
That would be a hot title. Save your marriage before it starts.
I'm writing down. And my essence is that obviously Enneagram is my key thing, because for me, part of the strategy is know your tight structure, the deep values, the deep hidden stuff that's embedded that you don't get to see. But it's the fastest, most accelerated tool to find out who you're dealing with in the beginning. And it's
100%. I'm so with you. And Juliet, this is what you're coaching on, right? So you can tell client stories. You can tell stories of, Andy and Annie who met each other and they thought everything was going to be okay. And when you actually sat down and did this with them, it took their relationship to a whole nother level. So those are the kinds of stories that are going to link this talk to your business. So when you get those speaking engagements, when you land that TEDx talk, just make sure that you are bringing in a client story, some research, and to really let people know, guess what? Marriage is not something that you go into blindly. It's not something that you go into without mentorship. Like, we hire mentors and trainers to help us become world-class athletes and to help us, learn how to, eat right. We hire nutritionists, but guess what? People aren't hiring anybody in their marriage until it's already broken. And then they might go see a marriage counselor, but it's already broken. We have 2 people's hearts who have already been so broken by each other that we're so far off the track of love that it's so much more work to get it back. So I'm so behind you. Save your marriage before it starts. Go land the TEDx talk. You're going to love it. It's a fun process to go through. And I hope I get to see you in September at our event.
I hope so too. It'll be great. And hopefully soon. Okay.
Come. Oh, so good to see you again.
Thank you for your time. Lovely.
You're welcome.
Lovely idea.
You're so welcome. Bye, sweetheart. All right. So I promised you I would tell you my favorite trick for memorizing my talk, right? A lot of people hesitate or drag their feet sometimes on doing TEDx talks because it is like an 18-minute talk that you oftentimes have to commit to memory. So something that I learned through the process of doing this talk that I just did is that you can use slides to help you stay on track. And I actually wish I had done a better job of this in retrospect. So let me save you the 15 or 20 hours that I spent memorizing my talk, because there were big chunks of my talk that had no slide to accompany the talk. And I didn't realize this until after I had submitted my slides, that I could have at least had like 9 to 18 slides kind of peppered throughout the talk, so that the slides could cue me in terms of really memorizing and holding the flow of my talk, right? Because you don't have to memorize it word for word, but you really want your talk to flow in a certain way, because there's an exactness, you know, when you study TEDx talks, there's a precision to the talks that really is important. So that's my suggestion to you, to really look at putting into place like 9 slides, maybe between 9 and 15 slides, so that every couple of minutes you have an excuse to pull up a slide, and that slide can be your visual cue in terms of what you're talking about next and how things link together, right? Because one of the quickest ways to memorize something is to be able to kind of visualize the whole thing and see how it fits together, right? Like most of us actually memorize visually more so than like word for word. So that's my hot tip on memorizing your talk. You can use slides to frame your talk and save yourself a lot of time in terms of feeling like you have to memorize it word for word. The other thing about a TEDx talk is you guys want to make sure that you don't over script your talk, because if you memorize it and you read it back like robotically, the energy is not going to be as alive. And that's the key. Like you want your talk to be alive. So the great thing about slides is it lets you have that organic energy. You can kind of let go into the moment and channel what you want to say, and then pull yourself back to the next slide in your slide deck. All right, that's what I got today for the TEDx training. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing my TEDx talk. It means the world to me. And I can't wait to see some of you at our next live event. Grab a seat. It'll be so great to have you there. Let's get you rocking. Let's get you launching and growing your business. Let's get you reaching the clients that are waiting for you. If this is the year that like, no shit, you're going for this, you're not holding back, like the time is now. You're ready to have more clients, fill your programs, fill your retreats. That's what we teach you to do as a woman in a way that's in alignment with women's values in 3 days at the Women Rocking Business Live event. First time ever in Southern California. So grab a seat. We love you. And I'm going to be here Wednesdays at 1 p.m. So put it in your schedule. Thank you for being the best part of Women Rocking Business. And thank you for being a woman on a mission. The world needs us. Your clients are waiting. Bye, you guys.